Hi, I'm Jessie Ammett, your host of Valley News Now, here with Kirsty Day, one of our VNL reporters, talk about our whistleblower hotline and kind of how that works and all the work behind the scenes. So you have been working on this case, I guess I'll call it, for this story for a week? I don't know, quite a few days.
Yes, about over a week. When we get messages that come in, we typically give people a call right away to see if they feel comfortable talking about their situation.
Yeah.
A lot of times people call in and just want to let us know that something is happening, and that's great too. But usually the first step is to follow up and see if it's something that people feel comfortable talking about more.
Nice. So really the best thing is if you call that whistleblower hotline or you leave something online, which I'm just going to take you over there really fast. And that is at valleynewslive.com, and just here on the bottom, whistleblower. The number 701-369. Lost it. All right. Here we go. Whistleblower hotline 701-369-3187. And that's how you let us know something that's, like you said, you might just want to let us know about it. But the first step then, one of the reporters will try to get in touch with you and see if you have more to say about that. And then what do you do?
Yeah, so that's the first step, is to just follow up and see if this person has more to say, if they would like to share about it on camera. And then, of course, we have to schedule a time to do an interview.
Yes.
So finding time can be tricky.
Can be tricky between people's work schedules and your work schedule. Okay, so maybe let's talk about this exact one, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the whistleblower gave you, maybe if you want to share that scenario or the information.
Yeah, sure. So we got this phone call, and when we followed up, they actually weren't sure about talking about it on camera.
Sure.
So we gave them a couple days, and they eventually gave us a call back.
Okay.
And said, yes, this is something that we would like to share with your viewers. And so then it just became, when can we see you? And they live in Sheldon, North Dakota.
Okay.
So it's a ways out there.
Right.
And so then just making sure they're actually in the middle of harvest as well.
Sure.
So they're doing corn harvest. I have a couple other stories going on. So finding a day that worked in our schedules took a day or two.
Sure.
To get that set up.
So even if it takes a little bit, don't worry, they're still on the case.
Yes, because as we were scheduling a time to visit, that follow-up phone call to get more information as well. We gathered names, specifics, if there's, not in this situation, but if there is, say, like a case number or anything like that, any situations that we can follow up with the police on, things like that we can double check as we're getting in deeper into the story.
Because sometimes people will be like, oh, why didn't you report on that? Well, they're very careful to make sure that they fact check. And so that's a huge part of it. So like you said, first you might have just this teeny bit of information. And I think you basically had like a name, and then just went like after anybody you could Facebook with that name
yes.
to see if you could get information.
Yes, I did. The day I had the interview, I had, I got to understand exactly where they had found this person.
Right.
And all we had was the name to go off of. So the phone number wasn't working. None of the emails didn't come back to me, and email is pretty slow. So the phone number didn't work, and that was like their prime issue.
Yeah.
So
do you want to share more of the story, or should we leave that?
Yeah, I can share a little bit more.
Because your story's going to run later today, isn't it?
Yes, the story is going to run at 6 o'clock today.
Okay, so you're going to want to see that, but this is like the backstory.
Yes, yeah. So really what happened was we got a phone call, and this woman described how a contractor they found at Menards, they found a contractor, they agreed that he was going to do work for them.
Yep.
And so they paid him, and then 2 weeks later when they called to check in on the project, his phone number was disconnected. So when they tried to connect with him, obviously his phone wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so how else can you get in touch with someone?
Right.
And you can send a million emails and never hear anything back.
Right.
So I decided to take to Facebook.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to you that day that I just found every everyone on Facebook with that name.
Yep.
Because it was actually a special spelling, just kind of a unique spelling.
Okay.
So that kind of narrowed it down. But there were
still a lot. I remember that day
yes,
you were working on it.
There were still about three to five people that I reached out to and just said, hey, this is super random. But that's what you got to do sometimes. Even with our, the people that call into the whistleblower, we might call them back, and the best way to get in touch with them is actually on Facebook. So you can reach out to us on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
Or if you want to reach out to a reporter directly, we all have our emails listed on our website as well.
Yep.
So yeah, Facebook is a great place to find people.
It really is.
Yeah, so I just reached out to as many people with that same name and got in touch with this guy.
And he got back to you.
Yes, he did get back to me. His business also has a Facebook page.
Okay.
So he got back to me there as well. And we were supposed to do an interview, but we ended up talking on the phone for about 10 minutes or so. He answered a lot of questions, but they weren't straight answers.
Right.
They weren't exactly what our what the couple that we talked to initially was looking for either.
Right. A lot of contradiction between what the couple said and what they said. So then part of your job is also to figure out which side is true.
Yes, exactly.
Before you go reporting the story. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. So I went to Menards where they found this contractor.
Yep.
Anybody can leave their contractor information at Menards.
So this was super interesting, and I think the entire newsroom was kind of a little bit shocked at what you found at Menards. Like, they're not pre-vetted.
Yes. So I will say Menards did not get back to me on any specific questions that I asked. But what my understanding is that if you do have a business, you can have a flyer that they leave at their kiosks. They have little installation centers, and it's a really convenient way for contractors to connect with clients.
Totally. So it's great. It's too bad that you have to worry about people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so maybe this guy in particular probably is a contractor, has worked on some projects, but in this case in particular, with his phone not working, him not getting back to the client, it is a bit enter at your own risk.
Yeah, so I think that was kind of what the couple, of course, we would like, them to get their money back and all of that. But I think what the couple partially wanted was other people to know, like, buyer beware when you're looking for contractors.
Yes, exactly. And so another tip that through this investigation, I did go to the place of business that was listed for him. It was actually his former personal address, so it wasn't actually a business address. But we do double check things like that. We'll go to the area of business, we'll call, we'll email, we'll leave voicemails, and try and find these people as much as we can.
Right.
Do everything that we can.
And in person as much as possible too, which is awesome.
Exactly. We want to see exactly what both sides of the story are.
Yeah.
And so tried to find him, tried to visit with him in person, but he hasn't gotten back to us either. But what I wanted to add was the Better Business Bureau has a lot of great tips on how to make sure that a business is actually going to be quality, as well as trustworthy. So if you just go on the Better Business Bureau website, they have all of the businesses listed.
Really? Okay, so I'm just going to jump on there while you keep talking.
Yeah, well, they gave us a lot of good tips while I visited with them. And one of the biggest things, this couple, they paid via check. Which I think a lot of us do, especially
if it's a big amount like that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But they do recommend to use a credit card.
Oh, they do.
That's going to be the best route, because if you do, say, make a big purchase like that and then have no way of
no recourse, kind of.
Yes, exactly. If you're not getting any response back, like in this situation, then you can contact your bank, and it's a lot easier for them to track a credit card than it is a check. Cash is a definite no-no.
Okay.
So that was a really good tip.
Which is tough too, I think, because for small business owners, a lot of times you want to pay in cash or check because you don't want them to have to pay that credit card fee. You know, but still, it's probably better to protect yourself. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in. than the not. So
yes, exactly. So yeah, this couple, they were really great. You know, they emphasize they don't want anybody to get in trouble. They really
they're
just
so sweet. Yeah.
Yes, they're very sweet. They really just want their money back. They did not have the services rendered that they anticipated, so they wish to have their money back, and they also don't want to see this to happen to anybody else.
Yeah.
So the Better Business Bureau website, you can just type up any business.
So yeah, I'll just jump over there too, because it is easy, but I gotta say, I've never done it.
Right,
Yeah.
I had never thought of it.
Nope, it's just bbb.org, and you can just type in any business and where it is, and then you can find out, anything that they have on file about them, which it sounded like with your, the cool thing, you can kind of see our newsroom behind us, is that we're all in one room, so we get to kind of hear what's happening. And so hearing you on the phone with, all of these different people with the Better Business Bureau, that they have to have a license with them. There's certain things that business contractors have to do that I guess I didn't really think of. I would have done the same thing this couple did, picked up a name at Menards and just thought it was fine.
Yep, exactly. And his Facebook too, with the business Facebook, it has a lot of pictures of projects.
Okay.
And also they talked to him a few times. He seemed very knowledgeable, very trustworthy.
Yeah.
And this website, the Better Business Bureau, is really going to help you, kind of cover your bases.
Yeah.
They also recommend, especially in contractors, to make sure that yes, they have a business license that is in operation. For North Dakota, I believe it's the Secretary of State, has all the businesses listed and where they are with their licensure, if they're in good standing or not good standing, if it's active or not.
And his was not when you dug, right?
Right, his was inactive. So actually, the day that I called the Better Business Bureau, I gave them a little backstory, and they immediately opened an investigation.
Oh, cool.
So they say if this does ever happen to you, contact them right away and they will open an investigation as well.
Oh, wow.
And that's a way that, again, you're helping other people know what businesses are going to be legitimate and which ones are not.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that either. And I kind of want to go back to that couple because I really don't feel like they did anything out of the ordinary either. I think it's easy to judge and be like, oh, well, you shouldn't pay or whatever. But I mean, they needed something done. They went and found a contractor. Seemed, everything seemed on the up and up, and the payment was roughly half, if I'm remembering the numbers right, which is very common. They have to get materials, and then then he doesn't show up. So yeah. It's rough.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's very, I wouldn't say it's very common, but it's very understandable that you have a job that needs to be done. They explained, they live in Sheldon, North Dakota, which is, a small town, a small community outside of Fargo. So it's hard for them to get to Fargo.
Yep.
And then also, you just trust people.
Right. And there probably isn't a huge pool of contractors either to go through.
Right, yes. They had mentioned that there are contractors in their area that they reached out to, but they were hoping to have this, it was the skylight in their kitchen that had leaked after a heavy rainfall.
Oh, sure. So they want it done before winter.
Exactly, yes. They didn't want any snow to, get on top of it and leak through there. So what they're going to probably have to do is just put a tarp over it because now it's getting so late in the season.
Sure.
And they're also busy with harvest this time of year. So you're a busy couple, you live a ways outside of Fargo Moorhead, contractors are busy, and it really just seemed like the best choice. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense. So know that you can contact Better Business Bureau, I think is a huge part of this story.
Yes.
Also follow up and watch Kirsty's story on the 6 o'clock news. But also make sure you're calling our Whistleblower Hotline. We love to be able to help out with that stuff, and just kind of wanted you to hear the backstory of how the reporters really dig into everything, try to tell, get down to the facts and tell both sides of the story. They put a lot of work into it, and I wanted to highlight that. So thank you so much, Kirsty.
Thanks, Jessie.
I appreciate it. I'll let you go finish your story now.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and I'm Jessie Ahmet, your host of Valley News Now.